Hello and welcome to the Best Overall Show, episode 32, WYSIWYG-ing out. I'm Cass. This is Noah. And say hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Every time. Like clockwork.
Yes, boys. How we doing, boys? It's been a minute since we had the full kit and caboodle.
Yeah, I'm hanging in there. Pretty undecided on what I want to do after Sisters Points Apocalypse.
Bro, Bringers of Flame last weekend had like three first pieces.
I am not saying they're bad by any means. It does not work in Joe's brain for some reason because it is just a disaster when I start piloting it.
Well,
We need to introduce you to some people.
I have introduced him to some people, as per your suggestion. But you know what? I get what you're saying in that not every list is for everybody. And
I literally just went through that. I tested Blood Angels, and I was like I know that everyone tells me Blood Angels is the best freaking army, and I know I can see all the pieces, but I just could not make it work in my brain.
And that's just it. Like, I don't know. Y'all know me. I'm obsessed with my Ultramarines Vanguard, but I'm constantly told how it's not a good army. And, like, I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot, but I like a lot. And honestly, to quote Noah, it scratches the itch in my brain in a nice way. So we all have that. So don't force it and find your North Star.
Yeah.
Drukhari are in a good place right now.
That's what I'm probably bouncing back onto. I was just reassembling them in my travel box.
I'm not mad at that.
Because that at least plays the way I'm used to. So just kind of fast melee trading stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see they're really high in the win rate right now for some reason. I'm not really
well.
sure why, because Scourges went up in points.
Yeah, I mean, I still think they're. Did anything go down?
Grotesques went down, and I think that's it. The Beast packs, like you can't even buy that unit anymore. It's like not even on the website. Like I don't even.
What do you need? I have them.
I literally own 0 of those models. I don't really need them.
I'm just saying, man. I have a 3 of everything kind of Drukhari collection that I at least own. I don't have everything painted, but it was one of those I got so much better at painting after I stopped painting them that I don't know that I'll ever go back, and it's kind of heartbreaking. But I'll see what I got for it.
I've gone back and kind of retouched up this army probably 3 times now because I'll get them to a point I really like, and then I'll paint another army, and I'll be like, "Oh, these guys."
It's
are lacking. Curse. Yeah, so they've been brought up to speed several times now since I've had them.
Yeah. So Joe will be Deep Space raiding. How about you, Noah? What's good in Badome Town?
I'll be honest. I love 40K. I'm not getting out of 40K, but I am finding it very hard to be excited about anything for the sake of the army. I'm excited about going to WTC because it's WTC.
Yeah,
I'm excited about a bunch of things, but I'm finding it nearly impossible to be excited about something for the sake of the army. So I tried a bunch of armies in the last couple of weeks. Nothing scratches the itch. I have Gaming's Workshop Tacoma Open coming up. They don't enforce clocks, so I don't want to play Green Tide.
Yeah,
that would be cool. Green Tide definitely scratched the itch in my brain. So I'm up in a million different places. I'm kind of messing around with World Leaders right now as a counter melee army, army because they have fight first, so you can just
yes, they do.
Take 2 big squads of Zerkers, and then any melee army that comes at you just has to go through death first. So that's cool. They actually get really, really shellacked by Deathwing Knights with -1 damage.
They do. They do.
So,
I got 2 words for you, Noah. It's called Dread Mob.
I don't have the models. I don't have the most, but I've been looking at it. If I was going to play Dreadnought, I would just play Knights. I have like Chaos Knights and
What?
Imperial.
Oh, come on.
An Armiger is just like 3 kilocans welded together.
You're not wrong.
No. I'm currently painting. I'm not going to say which army because that'll be well known next.
Yeah,
week.
just for those that don't know, list lock for WTC is on Sunday, so there's things both Noah and I cannot say for various reasons.
Right, but I am painting the army I'm going to play, a new version of the army I'm going to play, completely in Team Mexico colors. That is cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
That.
Are you both playing in War Masters, or is that something that's also?
I am not playing in War Masters.
I had to make a decision and either try to borrow hammer an army, which I have a wider network of friends on this side of the pond than I do that one. Though I do have some.
Are you gonna play in War Masters?
I'm not.
You should ask me. I have friends on the side of the pond, and I could also bring models.
It's okay because honestly, it was like we were talking about it. My fiance is coming with me. So not having models was like, cool, we get to go just have a great time in Europe afterwards. And then I was kind of on the fence, and one of my fellow Team Canada coaches had a really cool like day trip idea to go to Kuhn and see this really like the most 40K ass looking cathedral you've ever seen. So we're gonna go do that instead.
When are you doing that? Because is that before War Masters?
It's like before all the team stuff starts.
Can I come? I'm getting on like the 6th or the 7th.
Amazing. Yes, we'll figure that out.
Yay!
Because yeah, we're going to Germany for the day basically, and like we haven't decided whether we're staying.
How does that work?
Because Europe's tiny. We're from North America. Where
they've got trains over there that go like 500 miles an hour.
And it's not even like that much space. Like it's not even covering that much distance. In North America, we have a very biased view. Because like, you're considered close to me, Noah. But it's still a longer distance than some European, like, there's countries between countries that don't take that much time. So yeah, you're more than welcome to come. I would love to kidnap you for a day and just like take you to a cool gothic looking church. But
as we're discussing, I don't actually have anywhere to stay, so that's fine.
That solves one night of it.
I'm a hobo.
How long are you guys staying over there?
I'm there till the 12th.
We are there
12th of August, or
yeah.
Okay. What is the actual date of
20th.
the tournament?
It's like the 8th or 9th through like the 11th or the 10th or something.
Oh, geez. So literally 1 month away.
It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm leaving on Wednesday and arriving on Thursday morning or something. And then it gets done on Sunday, and then I'm flying home on Tuesday.
Oh, jeez.
Whereas Shaz and I are going on a wee little trip afterwards. We're basically like moving towards France. So we start out going to Ghent, then Bruges. If you've seen the movie in Bruges, we're staying at the hotel from the movie. We're doing the Basilica of the Holy Blood. We're going to like the pub they go to. We're just fucking doing everything they do in the movie.
But they're constantly complaining about being there the whole movie.
I know. I'm excited. I think they're a bunch of morons for that because that seems really cool. And you know what? If nothing else, I love the company of my fiance. So, but then we're going to Lille, then Paris, and that's where we'll fly out of. Like we'll stay. I think we stay the longest in Paris. So I'm stoked. I don't see the point in bringing models and lugging them around there. And you know, life's been really busy. So I feel like I've had a bit of a Warhammer lobotomy lately.
Oh.
Well, there's a few factors. The 10.5, and I've played some games now. I went undefeated in an RTT. That was really fun.
Good job, buddy.
Hot damn.
Thank you. And of course, I had to like finish it off fighting fighting that beast pack actually, by the man, the myth, the legend, JT McDowell, and that was a sweaty one. But you know, I'm having fun with the game, but I don't have like. WTC, I'm going. I'm not playing. I'm very excited for the event, but I'm not playing. And then Tacoma, which, all my friends are going to, I'm not going to be going to because I'm the best man at a wedding. So I really until September, October, I'm not really playing any big events. And I'm finding it really hard to kind of lean in personally. So I've been doing a bit of hobbying where I can. It's been very hot in Vancouver, and this room is the hottest room in my apartment. So I haven't been I've just been basically cuddling my AC the best that I can. Yeah, so that's me. Should we talk hobby progress?
What about Joe?
Joe has just been rapidly going to RTTs for the last 2 months and just not doing super hot for whatever reason. I don't know. I felt like I was just about to that point where I was getting really good with sisters, and then boom.
Well, I felt like I feel like right now it's like the season of the it's like the season of the rut right now. Like it's almost like it's just like it feels like I don't know, like it's hard to care deeply right now. I'm sure we'll get past it.
Are you going to Champions Cup, Cass? I think I asked you that already.
No, it looks like I will not be going. I was supposed to go. I was going to be going if my team was going, but my team is no longer going.
Oh, hey, I need a person. For agents, we literally had 2 people bail on us or not be able to go potentially. So I need somebody. You want to come play?
I would love to come play.
Let's fucking go.
Oh,
let's go,
hell
baby.
yes. This just got interesting.
You got your Marine
We're
player.
like a Northwest super team right now because Donald's on the team. I'm on the team. We have Tarzan.
Let's go. Tarzan's on the team. Woo!
Let's go. That'd be sweet.
Okay. All right. Cool. We're gonna be talking more about this right after this episode.
Yeah, I'm so about it. All right, cool.
Dope. Okay. All right. Look at you, Noah, giving me something.
Let me ask that question again, Cass. Are you going to Champions Cup?
I am actually. I will be repping Team Aegis for the first
Let's
time. I'm
fucking
really excited. Let's go. Look at that. The magic is happening live right here.
That's the only way it should happen. Let's do it live.
All right. Hobby progress.
I love the graphic you picked, by the way.
It was free.
This tickles me pink.
Okay.
All right, so I've been working on some T-Sun. So these are actually, I'm really proud of these because they're not even 100% my paint job. I have an apprentice who has been helping me with some commission stuff, and I taught him.
Would you call him the sorcerer's apprentice?
He truly is in this case.
Yes.
And I've been adding some touches like the bases, the green fire, etc., touching up some of the things, here and there. He's learning. He's doing a great job. And then I also... Hi, Nick. And it's actually Nicholas's friend, who is my apprentice, Stephen. And then if you go to the next one, you'll see the cultists that I whipped up. Also,
those look really good.
Thank you. It's contrast and a little bit of highlight and touch up, and then the metallics are metallic.
Is this contrast through an airbrush?
No. This is I was like, let's have an experiment. Let's fuck around. And I did the zenithal undercoating that I do, so black I painted the light with an airbrush, and that's where I stopped using the airbrush. And I just did what it said, one thick coat, basically. And then I went and added some dry brushing, some highlights, some, this and that. But even the flash, I'm very happy with how it turned out.
Are these for the same Thousand Suns army or?
Same Thousand Suns army, yeah. So I'm getting into the weeds with it. I think I've got some Zangors on discs that need to be done. And then it's
who are super obnoxious.
Yeah. Arman, a few other normal characters, and then 2 Mutalith Warp Beasts, and finally my Magnus Opus, if you will. Magnus. So I'm getting to the end of that commission, which is good. I'm having some ideas of like future projects for Cass, which honestly I'm thinking I'm just gonna start playing all the Space Marine chapters as Ultramarines because of how things are going. And it also gives me fun kind of ideas on how am I gonna kit bash, Deathwing Knights as Ultramarines or Sanguinary Guard as Ultramarines, etc. It gives me some creativity. But realistically, I do have another commission that I really want to start putting some serious time into, which is the Custodes Army. So, a lot of painting for me in my future.
Nice. Now, no, if you do take World Eaters, you have to run the most obnoxious unit in that army, which are Chaos Spawn. Holy fuck. World Eaters Chaos Spawn are so hard to get rid of. Because they just always have a 4-up Feel No Pain.
What?
And they heal.
Yikes.
Every time I play against World Eaters, they have Chaos Spawn, and they are the trash unit that cannot be removed without real committal to it.
I love trash units. That's actually a good point.
It's the ultimate trash unit.
It's felt like what I was missing when I was playing World Eaters the other day. I played into Nick V's Archangels, and it was my very first game with them ever, and I definitely lost. But I was like, man, I don't have any trash. Like everything in this is just a hammer.
Well, that is the answer to your prayers, because I mean they heal every turn, they have a ton of wounds, and then they have
a 4-up Feel No Pain.
4-up Feel No Pain. I mean, you have to use the prayer to give everyone else the Feel No Pain, and it puts theirs up to a 4. But yeah, they're just
your Blood Yahtzee has to be on point. I hear you.
But that's like one of the easiest ones to get, I think.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Anyway.
I don't know. I've played against World Eaters a couple times, and they've always felt like they've had it. So I think that sounds about right to me.
All right. Here's the last thing I painted before Points Apocalypse.
Those
you
are
like,
really
you've been like
cool.
traumatized by
I was like, oh shit, Repentia are 140 points in the book. I'll probably still play them at 140 points. Boy, was I wrong, because they were 110 before that. 180 now. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way I can do this. They have T3 with a Feel No Pain, and they just die like paper. So,
That's sad.
and Penitent Host is super cool, but they didn't word it the way that like Gladius is, where you pick the Doctrine every turn. You have to use them in the first 3 turns. Like you can't opt to not use them. So I wish they would have just errated that to say, like, you may use one of these in a turn.
And for when they do, you're ready.
I hope so. Anyway, so yeah.
Gorgeous paint job as usual. Your gold, as always, very stunning. I also think you're probably one of my favorite purple painters. Your
Thanks.
purple game is out of this world, my friend.
That's my color, man. That's my jam. Purple is my jam. And, well,
you do it well.
Thanks. So that happened, and then I painted Snickrot because I took Bully Boys to an RTT.
My man.
2 weeks ago. This guy's pretty good. Noah, are you a Snickrot fan?
I'm currently. I mean, I do think he's cool. I like him. I like Commandos. Like he looks amazing too. I like Commandos rather than Snickrot. Yes, it's twice the cost of Snickrot, but people always don't ever realize that like during the WA turn, the Commandos are literally like there's still like 40 attacks, 7 of which are Power Claw attacks. They can't be overwatched, so they're really good at handling.
That is really good, yeah.
That pesky little problem.
You make that charge, and it shuts down a whole bunch of other Overwatches too.
It's really funny too when they have like a really great Overwatch unit, like something that like puts out
Redeemer,
shots and rerolls everything in sustained, and you just like walk right up to it and you're like, hello.
Poke.
So yeah, Snickrot's cool guy, jumps around, stabs stuff. He's got twin linked for some reason. And,
he is dead stabby, that's for sure.
Ooh.
And then I painted a Gaz. I'm gonna do more with his base. I just don't like how that like that line.
That line needs to be filled. Yes, I
Yeah.
agree. But honestly, I didn't see it until you said it because
I also ran out of my little tufts.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
So
to be completed, but man, that paint job though.
yeah, Gaz, he was pretty awesome. Damage 4 is a really cool number to melee stuff at.
Yeah, not bad.
It
What
sure
do
is.
you use? What is that like discoloration on his claw and on his like what
Oh.
paint are you using?
Let me grab it, buddy.
Is that dirty
It's-
down yellow rust?
No. Right here. Burnt umber.
It's just burnt umber.
Just
Wow.
burnt umber ink.
I have that. I have that
Yeah,
literal ink sitting
It's
on my desk.
literally the best. Like, if I could only keep one ink, it'd be this one. So
I use it for like through an airbrush into black for like scorched, and it works really
Yep.
well. But I've never really thought to just use it as general. Like this is a bit thinner than when I apply it. That
I
looks
do.
really cool.
I water it down with
Yeah.
thinner.
Yeah. Yeah. That's apparent, but that is a really cool effect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Joe. I always steal a couple good tips from you.
I'm not at all saying that I'm a bad painter because I feel like I do pretty good. But you two always, every time we talk, make me feel like a fucking Cro-Magnon.
I was surprised at how many people were mad that I painted in blue. I'm like, Death Skulls can loot everything, buddy, even other boys. So get looted, Gaskull. Little Macari. Oh man, there was the RTT I played at. His Mega Knob unit charged 2 Redemptors and a Gladiator, and one of the Redemptors got down to 1 wound, which was really sad. And then the Gladiator got down to 1 wound, and I was like, oh, Macari still gets to attack. So so he could only attack the Lancer, and he rolled his 2 attacks because it was a walk turn, and then boom, hit that 6 on the wound roll for dev wounds, and then it exploded. It was just
and killed the other one.
Killed the
Amazing.
Redemptor. It was fantastic.
So
Little
Macari
Macari
killed a Redemptor and a Lancer. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
It was awesome. He's a really cool guy who also dies really fast to death wounds.
Yes.
This is what I've been painting for a certain group of players. These are, without a doubt, the worst models I've ever painted. Like just the figures themselves.
Yeah.
And old Gene Stealers are up there too. These Swooping Hawks are horrible. Well, they're fine cast. I think they'd be better if they were metal. But some of these, like the bend on some of these models, like they have rubber guns basically.
Because I was gonna say I've painted the warp spiders before, but they were pewter. Like this is a long time ago. I'm talking about. And
Yeah.
they're not so bad, but yeah, the Hawks.
I tried bending some of their guns, like with hot water, and
Yeah.
they're better now, but they are.
Yeah, there's one on the last one, or even the one on the very left. You can tell you did your best. And three in from the right. Look at that bend. Woo!
Oh yeah, yep. There's one guy who his whole body was just like bent sideways, and then both of his wings were also bent. I almost wonder if they left him in the car or something, and they got.
They do live in Florida.
Yeah,
it could have happened.
So
He's
I just have
painting them for Art of War, for what it's worth, people.
So I just have 1 warp spider left to paint, and then some of these also had no wings, and some of the warp spider's arms were missing. So I did the best I could to rejuvenate them. So
I now know that gray that you use. I've been using it. I love you. That Vallejo one has made its way into one of the steps of all of the white on my Ultramarine logo.
I love that color, and it's so simple.
You've wholly impacted how
Yeah.
the main things that I paint are painted. I love you, Joe.
Yeah. Here we go, everyone.
Oh.
Oop. There we go. It's
What,
burnt
what are
umber.
they called again?
It's Vallejo. Oh, not burnt umber. It's Vallejo somber gray. That's the base color. And then I just feather it. You have to be very gentle with glacier blue as the highlight through the airbrush. You must be very gentle or it'll look like trash. But it creates an amazing. Yes. So.
She's pretty.
Yeah, that's what I got going on.
Nice.
Okay.
So, for the topic today, WYSIWYG-ing out. I wanted to discuss thoughts and feelings towards WYSIWYG at different types of games, you know, from your casual at-home game, an RTT, a GT, a major, and kit bashes and proxies in mind. I'm asking because, you know, just to put it in context, I mentioned I'm thinking for the future of ultramarines-ifying whatever I want to play. Because, candidly, I have, you know, all of the base stuff that you would want, scouts and intercessors and this and that, like all the core stuff in the army, I have painted ultramarines. I'm not going to go to all the effort of painting, say, like Blood Angels scouts if I want to play Blood Angels. I'm just not.
Are they actually different, like model-wise?
No.
Not at all.
Okay.
But that means that for my Ultramarines, I will have a squad of Sanguinary Guard that I'm going to do as like a kit basher conversion at some point. Or, you know, a Black Templar Sword Brethren unit. Okay, well, these are my Ultramarine Sword Brethren or Inner Circle Companions, etc. So what I like about it is it gets the juices flowing. Like, I've been thinking about different helmet swaps and things like that, how I could justify them, even from a fluff perspective. I've decided that Cato Sicarius is going to be, like, the captain for whatever Divergent chapter that I do, because now he's captain of the Victrix Guard. And so if I'm doing Sword Brethren, they're Victrix Marines. You know, they're not the Victrix Honor Guard that are with Galgar. Those are a specific thing. But I'm theming it out. So I'm thinking about doing all these kit bashes and stuff. And then, you know, sometimes there's going to be some issues with WYSIWYG in terms of, like, a Watcher in the Dark token or something. Like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do an Ultramarines the equivalent. But I just wanted to kind of open up the discussion on where you guys, for yourselves and locally, draw the line with WYSIWYG. Like, is it a absolute, like, the weapons have to be right? Like, what is WYSIWYG to you, Joe? Let's start with you.
For me personally, yeah, I will do that. I'm not gonna, like, I got 10 Scourges with Dark Lances and 5 of them with Heat Lances because that's what came in the box. So that's what I'm playing them as. I could just as easily say they're all Dark Lances, but yeah, I do that just because I'm real uptight about that as far as my army is concerned. But I'm just
how are you about your opponent though? Like
that, I don't really care about as long as I know what it is. And like Tyranid weapons, I have no idea what a Tyranid weapon looks like. Tau guns, I know what the regular one, the pulse rifle looks like. That's about it.
Which is funny because every Tau player I know owns like a magnetized Tupperware solution of like 6 of every weapon type for every model in their army. Like, they just all have them. I've seen them. I know. I've talked to them about it. They all have them. But Tau players, nobody but other Tau players knows what the hell your guns are. It's
right.
true.
Necron guns, same thing. I don't know what those things are. That's all just Xenos crap.
Fair. No, what about you?
So, I'm a big fan of kit bash. I think my rules on kit bashing and stuff are it needs to be the correct dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to have weapons that can read to the opponent like they are the thing. Example is I've got this fucking Chaos Knight who has one of the dragon heads from the Drake, you know, the Chaos Drake. He's got a whole head and neck as his gun. right? And people read that like every time someone comes up and we were playing it, people are like, "Oh, is that the melt-a-gun?" Or they'll say, "Is that the chain cannon?" Right? Like those like things that people can like once you explain it, it can be believable in their head and therefore easily recognizable on the table is a requirement. And the other thing is never using the same bit to represent different things. So if you have a guy and he's got specific guns, and then you have another guy who's got a different gun, but they're using a similar bit or model or weapon, and it reads the same visually, that's a problem for me. Yeah. As long as it reads different visually, it's correct dimensions, and it's like if this guy has a giant laser gun and he's holding a bolt gun, that doesn't work for me, right? It needs to like
the scale needs to be there in a way.
Yeah, but like part of that for me is part of the reason I enjoy this game is when I'm playing, we're both playing pointed armies and playing a good terrain set, it feels cinematic to me. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's important for me to be able to have that level of enjoyment while I play. I don't get super mad about it. Like if someone doesn't, I'm going to be vaguely annoyed and I'm going to ask them a whole bunch of times what things are. But that's about it. For me, though, I play like I have the example that comes in my brain is the dinosaur tower. Right? So my dinosaur tower are like super heavily converted.
Yes.
Yeah, they're like nothing. Like their guns are all the right guns, but the models are completely something else. They're dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Right? But as long as anybody can look at my army and read what a thing is pretty easily. Like if I put my army out and explain it, people can pretty quickly pick up what it's about.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah, I generally agree with you both in terms of kind of how I approach it myself and for others, but I do make exceptions. So, like I was chatting with Space Marine Steve, who runs the local RTT that I go to, and he was saying that for his RTTs he's lenient within reason. Like, okay, bolters are gonna have to be bolters, but if they're roughly the same model, sure. Like he let me use, I had a bunch of sergeants with chainswords as assault intercessors and an old unit of assault marines with the right weapons as my jump pack intercessors, which I appreciated because I played them and I immediately hated the list and tore them back out and went back to what I was running before that, and now I don't have to paint all those. But using an RTT is kind of like a figuring it out list testing sort of thing. I feel like I and some other players are a little bit more lenient because I would never do that at a GT. Like, just there's no way I would like you, Joe, just run the loadout I have. But when I'm thinking of approaching this army, this project of like all Marines as Ultramarines, it starts getting a little bit interesting when I start thinking about like, what about some double duty units, right? Sword Brethren could be the same unit as an inner circle, if I did them a certain way, but they may not have the right loadouts necessarily for everything. And Joe, as you pointed out, it's different when it's an Imperial army because everyone knows your weapons. Mm-hmm. So
I do think the army matters. Like when I'm playing Nurgle, I can literally, if I have a dreadnought and I need a dreadnought arm, I could literally just like green stuff a fleshy protuberance with an opening and maybe some flesh sacks on it, and I could literally call that any gun, and my opponent's going to be cool. But if I did that same thing on like an Imperial Knight, someone would give me a fucking weird stink eye.
Absolutely.
True.
Absolutely. And I think that you can run into the Nurgle gun is a good example and something I kind of want to like double click on. Have y'all played against the guy who has like a really cool converted army? And Noah, like I'm not targeting you at all with this because I know you have cool and converted.
My army has frustrated people. My tower has frustrated people before. especially on streams. All the weapons are correct. Everything is WYSIWYG, except the the freaking devilfish are giant turtles, and the crisis
but
suits
you
are
have the right,
running
the
fast.
right weapons.
Yeah.
It's the ones where because I played your tower army and I wasn't confused in the slightest. Like everything was quite obvious. Like you've got the right guns. But I'm talking about like proxy armies or they were toys that someone repurposed and made into like airplanes or folks are using something that isn't exactly what it's supposed to be. Not just a kit bash where you've actually taken the real the POW guns and mounted them on the back of a turtle instead of a tank, which is so cool. Not that, but where the guns don't match up. The thing that you're saying you're not okay with. Have you ever played that game and you're trying to remember what's what, and it seems sometimes it can even feel like your opponent changes moves oh no, these guys weren't the ones with the flamers, it was these guys. How do you deal with that in an event? You're playing against someone and they're telling you their army and you are having to use extra clock time and brain cells to process and try to correct that unit's which unit again. And I think this is, for me, the part of WYSIWYG where I'm fine with from RTTs and casual games, but GT and major level really piss me off. Is when it's unclear visually, at a glance, what something has. Has that happened to either of you? How do you feel about it? How do you deal with it?
I played a guy at Adepticon quite a few years ago. He literally had a Necron army, and he's setting up, and I'm like, okay, what do we got here? He's like, oh, this unit are my Dark Reapers, and this unit's Howling Banshees. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I'm just running this army as Eldar. I'm like, oh, this isn't going to be confusing at all.
Oh, I would have a stroke.
I can't believe they let that fly, too. I mean, and this was back when Ynnari were super busted, so I obviously didn't know how to play back then, so it was a quick game.
Well, you didn't suffer for long.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yep. But yeah, he had Immortals were his Dark Reapers, and yeah, it was just
It's
the Tomb
hard
Blades were Shining Spears. It was really confusing.
That is an impressive example of what I'm talking about.
Yes, that was not cool. Please don't do that. Play your Necrons.
I've definitely played against custodes with Land Raiders, and one was a Land Raider Redeemer model, and one was a Crusader. Or, sorry, not a Crusader, the normal one, the Godhammer. And I was not deep striking anywhere with
Do they even get different Land Raiders?
Yeah,
they don't.
The
But
guns
I didn't know that. So, and in fairness to my opponent, they didn't say it was a Redeemer. And kind of, we talked about it afterwards, after I killed it. But, I was like, oh, I've been, I didn't say anything. I didn't ask, is that a Redeemer? So, it's equally on me. But I spent the 4 turns of that game giving that goddamn Land Raider way too much respect. Because it's, it's not what it looks like. Even though, yeah, as you point out, if you know Custodes, you know that they don't get all of the flavors of the Land Raider. I didn't know that. It's, round 6 of a major. I'm mentally exhausted. I can barely, have a conversation at this point. So I do think there's... But, at the same time, I wasn't... It was okay, whatever, move on. That wasn't something I was going to go get, a ref for or judge for. I'm not trying to throw a player under the bus that much for such a minor thing. But man, the Eldar Necron fiasco. I would be asking, did you get this approved by the TO? Because
oh yeah.
Because what the hell?
Yeah, I didn't even know what I was doing back then, so that was not a question that I would even think to ask. But looking back, yes, that's very strange. And I'm assuming he probably didn't. So.
Yeah.
And again, this was struggling down in the lower end of the table, so who cares?
Yeah, at that point you're just rolling dice and having fun.
Yeah.
It's not really a competitive advantage if you're not competitive.
Right.
Whoa, that was like the most heartless thing I've ever heard you say.
What?
Sorry.
No offense taken.
I just never heard you say something like that.
The corporate world is taking its toll on my soul. Sorry, guys. No, I'm just saying you're not competitive at the bottom table. That's all I'm saying. Now I'm feeling bad.
No, I like fucking with you, Cass. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, but so another thing, just like topically about it, is it's funny how many counts as armies happen when the soup du jour of broken bullshit happens. Like, let's take a look back at an edition at 9th when Deathwing Terminator max size units, you take 3, you stand on all the objectives and you win. Or like the Necron lists with the king, where like you're like, oh, okay, so the game started. I start with 100 points, and let's see how many you can get. So like things of that nature, where shit starts selling out. When you can't get your hands on that broken ass unit and buy the official one, isn't it funny how many proxies and kitbashes and conversions pop up that are like, they vary in quality. Like you see some good ones where you're like, all right, like you're doing this because you gave a shit, or at least you want to play that army, and you thought of a cool way to get there. Kudos to the horrible, like, this is a different army, this is a different unit, like this isn't real. I personally, kind of feel like 3D printers and 3D printing being accepted at certain tournaments for like bits, not necessarily for whole kits, but has really changed a lot of that. Like loadout wise, you can make something look like another thing relatively easily. But I still feel like, and I don't know, I don't have a good justification for this, but I feel like if you are wanting to do it because it's the competitive choice, you either have to have a really solid conversion, or you have, like the actual model. But I could be swayed.
I think what you're doing for Marines is totally fine.
Yeah, I agree. I think like I do that with my Crimson Fist. I have a Crimson Fist Calgar. I have a Crimson Fist. I have Crimson Fist of like most of the named characters. This is a kit.
What would you do for that? Do you buy the model and then paint it on as a Crimson Fist, or do you convert off of the model, or do you convert, like, will you run a character model that was someone else from something else that you've converted into something completely unique and use it? Like, what's the spectrum of it?
I mean, I do all of those things. So, for instance, my Calgar is I bought Calgar, and then I went through for like 3 hours with a knife and a file, and removed and debadged him, and then rebadged him in Crimson Fist, and then painted him, right? Yeah. Whereas my my Vulcan is just like a kit bash with like a chainsword spear and like some braziers on his shoulders, and kit bash from a less Drakey looking model, right? Mm. Or a good example too is Nick Vallejos. His Black Templar are super kit bash, but they read as Black Templar or Dark Angels like incredibly smoothly. Yeah. Because they're incredibly, but they have none of the original, like almost none of the original models, right? Some parts of it, like his Sword Brethren, have the capes, but other than that, they're like almost completely unique hoods and like a bunch of iconography from like grim, like Gothic stuff from like fantasy and all this all over his things, and you can tell that it's Helbrecht because it's the scariest thing on that size of base, and he's got all the correct weapons, and he's like murdering an orc. right? Like,
Yeah.
Oh. Not cool.
so I mean, I think all of those things are okay as long as the dimensions, and I do think, like I was saying, I think feel, I think the feel, the aesthetic, the how it's communicated, the
Yeah.
artistic composition matters and impacts on how acceptable it is as a kitbash.
Yeah. Like I think that tells the story of why you're doing it, really,
If,
in a
if,
way.
if you're a if you're like a, not poor, but if you're a, financially restricted person playing 40K and you want to play competitive 40K or be as competitive as you possibly can on a restricted budget, play Nurgle. Right? Play Nurgle and buy any bits, Chaos or Imperial, or get them secondhand or whatever. And then with any extra dollars, get a hold of green stuff. And like literally, like you can make anything you want. You can make any weapon loadout you want, whatever. It'll look great. You just have to take the time, right? That's literally why I played. So when I got back into 40K, the first army I built was my brother had a Chaos army that ran over by a car. And it was like literally shattered into a million pieces.
That is horrible.
And I literally I patched it back together with green stuff, and then sculpted disease bubbles and strained flesh and everything, and painted it like a disease. Made up a whole lore about the disease infecting the weapons and stuff. And I played that for a long time, and then I sold that army for like a pretty penny to someone who's really excited about the aesthetic.
That's really cool.
Right? But it literally was an army that got ran over by a car.
That's amazing. That is some what's that? The Japanese art of like repairing things.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm looking this up. I can't not. I know this word.
What, wabi-sabi?
Kintsugi. Kintsugi is also known as kintsukuroi, which is called the golden repair, is the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery by mending the areas of breakage with lacquer, dusted, or mixed with powdered gold, silver, or platinum.
Mm.
Oh, I've seen
You're
that.
like, you're fixing it, but you're honoring the breakage, and you're making it something better, more unique, etc. It's a really cool philosophy. That's what you did. You kintsugi'd a Warhammer army, and I love it.
I absolutely did. Except green stuff isn't gold, but I guess, whatever.
Well, okay. All right. Meet me halfway. No, come on.
Yeah, for sure. It's our goal.
What units are you thinking about branching out into to steal other chapters' stuff?
Well,
Uh-oh.
I mean,
Oh, the process has already begun.
I mentioned them a few times. So like the Inner Circle Knights, and then I got these, I don't know where the hell I threw them, but I got the Praetor helmets from Horus Heresy, which is a wealth of other Ultramarine bits. So they've got this like faceplate that looks kind of Knight Templary, but it's an Ultramarine thing. And then the main one has the broom the broom thing on his helmet. And so I'm like, okay, that, do as Noah did, like shave off all the symbols, re-green stuff or glue or whatever Ultramarine symbols all over. And
Are you green stuffing Ultramarine symbols on all these guys?
not on all of them. A lot of them I'll be able to use like bits that I've 3D printed or alternate, like shoulder pad swaps, that sort of thing. But yeah, definitely for some of them. I've sculpted the odd Ultramarine symbol before, so there's a process. I'm actually excited. I used to green stuff a lot, like when I was younger, and it was partially a cost thing. Like I was trying to, do my version of the army that got ran over, but I never played Nurgle. I played like Bretonnians, so.
Boo!
Play harder.
Boo!
I've sculpted a fair amount of plate mail in my day. Not well, mind you. I was younger. My my sort of threshold of acceptable was a lot lower than what it is now. So I'm excited to like get the green stuff out a bit. Honestly, I've had my frustrations with painting rubrics that penalize you for not converting things. As an ultramarine, it's like I played the chapter that wrote the book. Should be by
The
the
least
book.
convertible. It's like the least convertible chapter.
Right. So like this has been a way where I don't have to start an entirely new army because I'm busy right now. Like life has been kicking my ass, candidly. So like, you know, I have other areas in life I have to focus on outside of Warhammer. So, but I want to keep doing something. Like the Vanguard list has been really good because it really hasn't changed, and I'm still so happy with it, and I love playing it. I could play all of the Warhammer with that list and be happy. And for a while it was nice because I'm painting all this commission stuff, you know, getting that moving. But I'm realizing I'm losing a bit of steam not having the thing that I'm thinking about doing for myself, like that next step. And so this has been a way for me to kind of open that door, and really get my hobby mojo back, while still playing my main army as the army I'm enjoying, you know?
For sure.
You could be making these guys into. You could put Tyranid bits on them and make them Tyrannic War veterans.
Oh shoot, that's a good I'm saving that because these guys I'm calling them the Knights of Macragge, and I think that works for both my whenever I like do the Black Templar version or the Dark Angels version, you know, I'll be able to kind of go with the Knights of Macragge. Cato Sicarius is always going to be the leader too because there was a novel, Knights of Macragge, horrible, absolutely awful. I'm just being honest. I love Ultramarines. It was bad. It was really bad. But before this Knights of Macragge came out, like when they changed the fluff and he got lost in the warp, and so he got PTSD'd. Like he came back different. Like Cato Sicarius, everyone hated him in like the real world because the guy that wrote him very like I don't know, he's really over the top. You can see memes about it. Cato Sicarius. He's cocky. But the character was cocky. And so like post PTSD Cato is a very different character. Like, and he's very stern and just kind of like head down, quiet. He leads the Victrix Guard now, right? So it opens up all this possibility. But in Knights of Macragge, I'm gonna give you the TLDR. They went through the warp, the Geller fields went down, demons killed like most of them. And they end up coming out of the warp and landing at this like backwards medieval-esque planet. And like basically Jafar from Aladdin is like the king's advisor. Turns out he's a bad guy. It's not actually Jafar, but he was a vizier. Same shit. It was wild. But none of their like power packs are working, so their power armor is just plate mail. Their power swords are just swords. And they're in this medieval world, so they're like, you are strange knights, where are you from? And they're like, from the mystic lands of Macragge. And like, it was a weird book. But I like to think with the Victrix Guard, like, which is now who he's the leader of, I like to think that there's, you know, some knightly feel to it. I'm still going to stick to the Roman aesthetics here and there, but there is going to be a chapter of something that I'm going to have to make the Tyrannic War Vet version, because that's dope.
That's
dope.
There is someone painted Crimson Fists, and I saw the picture like 10 years ago, right? When I was into Crimson Fists and I did not have very much money and I was playing, you know, borrow cheap hammer and green stuff and stuff, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Someone online painted these really awesome looking Crimson Fists using like 30K style rhinos and razorbacks, and then every single model was fighting a Tyranid.
Wow.
Every infantryman was like shooting them on the ground, or he at least had like trophies, and then like the rhinos, literally, one of the rhinos literally had like a Carnifex like crawling up it, or the Razorback, and the Razorback was blowing a hole through it. A bunch of the rhinos had like the chitin like chained to the front like a trophy.
Yeah.
I have long told myself that if I ever found whoever painted that army, that I would go to great lengths to acquire that for me.
Wow.
Duly noted. Keep
Our
an eye out. That sounds really cool.
I have no idea what's going on with Space Marine lore since Primaris came out. Are they still restricted to 1,000 dudes per chapter?
Guidelines.
Okay. I have no idea.
You gotta remember,
No,
technically, so like there's periods of like there's always a war, a campaign going on, but all of the Imperium currently, like all Marines and most of the Imperium are considered like on campaign, right? Like everyone is considered currently at Crusade, right? Or at least they were. Like the Indominus
Well,
Crusade.
I mean, the universe split into two, or like the galaxy split into two.
Well, yeah, the
ever
Indominus
since
Crusade's
then.
point was to find a way across the segmentum or whatever, across the whatever that was.
Nihilus and
Kickatrix.
Yeah, the Kickatrix.
Yeah.
Across that, right? So like I've been reading the Indominus Crusade Dawn of Fire books, right?
Yeah.
We're like 9 books in, and the last book is coming out here shortly, and it's all culminating to finding the gateway, the interstellar gate, the opening to cross to the other side. Currently, there's like a bunch of Blood Angels on the other side who are completely stranded. And Dante has taken full command of everybody. He's like Lord Regent in that section or whatever. And the Indominus Crusade is trying to reconnect. Meanwhile, Pariah Nexus is happening in the background. So like the current kind of lore situation is like the Indominus Crusade led up to the what was that place called? The where
Vigilus.
Vigilus. The Indominus Crusade led up to Vigilus. When Vigilus gets done, the next thing that pops up is Pariah. And it turns out all of this time, while the Marines were fighting against Abaddon and demons and demon Primarchs were recovering, during all of this shit, the Necrons were running roughshod over like an entire like quarter of the freaking galaxy. And and part of the reason why is in the first book of Dawn of Fire, this person it follows this character who's like a poor woman who is like at the very bottom of the like social hierarchy, and she's a transcriber, and she literally like they read the Emperor's Tarot and transcribe, and most of what they transcribe just goes in the garbage. And she reads the tarot, and it's about the Pariah Nexus, and it's basically like telling this thing of like this horrible dark like threat to the entire empire is coming. She feels touched by the Emperor. So she goes on this book-long crusade, like this person of no means, like going across the Imperial City. She ends up in like these like factory swamps, like underneath, like in the sewers, and she has to survive gangs and is almost burned alive. And she's literally clutching this one missive. And when she gets to where she's going, spoilers, when she gets to where she's going, she comes into the office and there's a pile of them just like hers. Like every tarot reader across like the Imperium has been getting these, and a bunch of them have been motivated enough to come to the office. And the guy who's supposed to receive these is missing from his office because he got pulled to be the main scribe for the Dawn of Fire personally by Gilliman.
Oh.
So there was like a machination of fate that removed him. Someone was messing with fate that specifically put him in a position to get him out of the office. So basically no one would find out about it in time. So all of these missives have just been lost in the bureaucracy. All these like, hey, go check out the Pariah Nexus, all these like comms and stuff that should have gone through him have just been lost in the bureaucracy. And so by the time they get done with Vigilus, they realize they've messed up, and there's been like an entire like massive threat that has been developing without their knowing.
Man. I assumed Pariah Nexus had something to do with their like Necrons had a unit called Pariahs, right? I'm not dreaming that. Back a lot, and they were like human Necron hybrids.
No, those are Well, they're called something different now. They're called Blade Ones.
No.
They were
You are
literally
correct.
humans that were like
You are
turned into
correct.
Necrons. That's
They
I
were
assumed
in-
that's
I
what this
just
was.
googled it.
Yeah. So what the
A
Pride Nexus
Necron
story
Pariah is an experimental cybernetic warrior crafted from a terrible symbiosis of Necron technology and human evolution. Yeah.
I'm not crazy.
So, in the current Pariah Nexus, like if you see the video where like the salamander and the sister, there's a weapon being deployed in the Pariah Nexus that brainwashes humans basically and makes them slaves to the Necrons and fight each other. And some of them, in some planets, they've used it to just make the entire planet just like basically like sit down
Turn
and give
off.
up.
Yeah.
Like
I've
give
read
up
some of them.
And there's a really cool animation where there's a salamander who's like fighting one salamander tactical marine who's like fighting his way through this Necron besieged planet. And there's a sister too who's getting messed with. Well, we're at time for me. Closing thoughts on WYSIWYG-ing out.
I am really excited to do these kit bashes, but as an Imperial, I will make sure the weapon loadouts are either correct or magnetized.
Yes. Imperial players have to play by the rules.
Yes, we do. I mean, we're Imperial players. We play by the rules. That's what we do. No chaos nonsense over here.
Nope. Get it out of here. Yep. Just make sure your opponent knows what everything is.
Yeah. Honestly, if you have a confusing army, bring like sticky note labels for your own stuff. Be like, hey, if you want, here are these little cards. I can just put them next to the unit. Don't be a dick.
That's a Brad Chester move. Just have a stack of index cards just writing.
Yeah, but do it for your opponent.
Throwing them across the table. Yeah.
Brad's old and likely had some sauce, so like he's just trying to remember. I respect the game. I'm just saying, if you have a confusing army, the onus is on you, not on Brad Chester.
It's not exactly the same thing, but like in the last Codex of Knights, there was a lot of bookkeeping in Imperial Knights because you had all these different powers you could hand out and all these different things that were in place. And I literally had like whiteboard material chits, laminate chits that I would like, that are just like a little oval square thing. And I had a freaking Wetterix. And I would literally just, they got this power, boop, this buff is on this guy, this buff is this guy on this guy. And they would just go along with them.
Yeah. I mean, and I've always tried to have tokens and stuff. Just at the end of the day, make it easy for your opponent to know what's going on. That's not how you want to win. Yeah.
Is that be good to each other? All right, cool.
Be kind.
Bye, everybody.
All right.
See you, everyone. Have a good night. Like the page. Hit subscribe.
Let's go. Maybe we'll get to 60 someday.